Skeleton Crew comes out later tonight. I got the screeners for the first 3 episodes, so today I'll give you my spoiler-free thoughts on what I've seen so far. The short version is that it's pretty good. It's enjoyable. It's got a good sense of fun and adventure. I like the kids and their dynamic. Jude Law's Jawed character works well with them, and there's a solid mystery I'm really into. As a Star Wars version of a kids on bikes adventure, it's good, but I'm not fully hooked yet. Skeleton Crew has been described as an Amblin-style story, so if I were to compare it to E.T. and the Goonies, I would say it falls somewhere in between. I mean, E.T. is just phenomenal, so that's a high bar. The Goonies, I recently rewatched it and I didn't like it as much as I remembered. I think there are too many characters, so some of them get very little to do and aren't really fleshed out. Skeleton Crew has much more well-defined characters. I will say I think KB could use more development. She got the least focus in the trailers, and she seems to be the least defined in the series as well, but she's given enough to do so it's not like she's just along for the ride. The rest of the kids have well-established wants and needs and dreams. I understand them and what they're after, especially Wim, who is hungry for adventure at any cost to the point of being selfish, which can make him frustrating, but that is the point. The same way Luke is whiny and annoying at the start of A New Hope, and we get to see him grow and change, Wim starts out as a selfish kid who doesn't think before he leaps, and that gives him plenty of room to grow up. People have also called Skeleton Crew Stranger Things in space, so how does it compare to another similar streaming series? Skeleton Crew does not reach those same highs as the first season of Stranger Things, at least not yet. Both seasons were 8 episodes, but Stranger Things had much longer average runtimes. Its first 3 episodes were 2 hours and 40 minutes. Skeleton Crew's first 3 are about an hour and 50 minutes total. Episode 2 is only 29 minutes long, which doesn't sting so much since it's paired with a 45-minute premiere, but still, Star Wars series are all over the place with their runtimes. My biggest criticism of Skeleton Crew is that it falls into those same traps. The first 3 episodes feel like a pretty solid start to a movie. They don't feel like episodes of television with clear beginnings, middles, and ends. It's something that's frustrated me with a lot of streaming shows, especially when series like The Penguin or Stranger Things or Andor are all able to pull it off. But that's a larger discussion about the streaming industry and the business side of Disney Plus in general, because I do like a lot about Skeleton Crew. I think it strikes a good balance between lighthearted adventure and genuine peril. Creators John Watts and Christopher Ford have insisted that while this show stars kids, it is not a kids show. No, it's not Young Jedi Adventures, but people should not expect the tone of Stranger Things either. I feel like that series is for adults who grew up loving E.T. Yes, it's about kids, but it also gets very dark. Skeleton Crew leans way more towards the tone of E.T. or the Goonies, but I was still surprised by some of the action moments. The pirates are far more menacing than the Fratellis, for example, and there's a government mystery subplot for all the adults that's one of my favorite parts of the show so far. That all takes place on the suburban planet that sparked some debate online. I've been open about not loving the aesthetic. Seeing it in the trailers, it just didn't feel like Star Wars to me, and it still doesn't, but there is absolutely a story purpose for it that I'm into. It's connected to the government subplot I mentioned, but there's even more to it than that. Interviews have said part of the reason the kids get lost in the galaxy is because nobody has heard of their homeworld. The reasoning behind that and the exploration into that idea makes for a fun story, and it has me leaning in as a Star Wars nerd. As someone who grew up falling in love with Star Wars, Skeleton Crew also does a good job at capturing the joy and imagination of being a young Star Wars fan. The first episode especially made me smile and remember having fake lightsaber fights at the bus stop with my friend, or riding my bike through the woods pretending it was indoor. I think there's a healthy dose of nostalgia, but less so in the Easter eggs and references. It's more about a vibe check. Not to say that there aren't Easter eggs, there definitely are, but so far they haven't been too intrusive or in your face like Dr. Evazan and Rogue One. Visually, I think the series is looking great so far. I was not a fan of how the volume was utilized in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just didn't think it looked very good. Skeleton Crew has several environments that look awesome. The pirate port scene in the trailers is a good example of similar sets we've seen before in The Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it feels massive and more lived in, more real. Some of that is down to the way it's shot, but I also think the technology is simply continuing to improve. And since the series was delayed an entire year, the effects crew probably had more time to get it right. Mick Giacchino's score is also very good. He uses existing Star Wars themes and motifs sparingly, but appropriately. The rest of it has a great swashbuckling feel to it. There's one musical moment that really jumped out to me as unique, but I dug it. Like I said, I'm enjoying Skeleton Crew quite a bit. It's doing a lot right, especially with its sense of fun and adventure, and also the mysteries that are more geared towards the adult characters. My biggest gripes have to do with structure and pacing, which haven't been as jarring as the way some episodes of The Acolyte ended, for example, and I also try to remind myself that Andor had some weird episode endings too. Maybe I'm just being an old man who yells at clouds at this point. I grew up watching shows like The X-Files that had 20 or so episodes, and they were all 45 minutes long. That's what a television show is to me, and even though it's been years, I'm still not used to the streaming model. Maybe younger generations have no idea what I'm complaining about. So yeah, I think Skeleton Crew is pretty good so far. I'm looking forward to seeing more and unraveling those mysteries. I'm not obsessively hooked, but I'm intrigued to know where it all goes. I think it'll be a fun holiday season watch. The first 2 episodes premiere tonight, and tomorrow morning you can expect my full spoiler review for them, and then we'll have a live stream discussion in the evening. Let me know if you're looking forward to Skeleton Crew in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page for our video reactions and audio commentaries for every episode as they release. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.